We're back. This is Black Thought, and I'm your host, Dr. Hutchinson. We have about 4 minutes left. And so what I want to do with the time that we have left is, Dr. Thomas, just share with us any closing remarks that you might want to make concerning all that we've discussed, because truly what you have done, not only with this book, but in your ministry, is groundbreaking. And as you close in your remarks, just kind of talk to us about what you're getting ready to do in terms of ministry, teaching, assignment, etc.
I think that the overarching message of the book is that God gives us the power of choice in our lives. And many of us, because we're trapped in anxiety, forget that we have the power to choose. And there's a tremendous amount of freedom in choosing, in saying, I choose. So you can say, I have to take these kids to school, or you can say, I choose to take these kids to school so that they can have a bright future. Those two statements feel different.
Exactly.
And so I'm living at the level of I choose versus I have to. And I thank God. It took me a long time as to continue to grow in my life to try to get here. I'm not fully there yet, but I'm really moving in that direction. And so what I've chosen to do is to spend the rest of my life teaching, preaching, writing about preaching, doing preaching. And what I hope to do is to develop the first PhD program in African American preaching in the country. That's what I hope will be the lasting and finishing legacy of my ministry, because I believe that African American preaching has been such a powerful force of sustenance and life and change for our community, that there are so many great preachers where their work is in church basements, garages, that we won't ever see because there's no archive. There's nobody writing about it. You know, J.H. Jackson, for example. I think it's real quick. I went down in the research for a book. I went down to the Chicago Historical Society, and they've got all the papers of J.H. Jackson.
Wow.
And all these handwritten sermons. I could flip through J.H. Jackson. Somebody needs to go through those sermons and publish them, because J.H. Jackson, despite his political issues, was a masterful preacher.
He was one of the greatest preachers that the African American church has produced.
Right. Now, Sherman Tribble has a book on J.H. Jackson, but I would like to do a collection of the sermons of J.H. Jackson so this next generation can be exposed. So that's what I'm doing now.
Well, let me say this to the you who view. If you go online and find the African American pulpit, or if you go to the library and find the journals that have come out, this is the gentleman who started and who owns the African American pulpit. He has done a great service to the body of Christ. He has the anthology on African American preaching. You ought to get it. It ought to be in your collection. He has done a masterful work. As you can hear, his ministry is not concluded. And we want to thank Dr. Thomas for being with us today. But now, as we get ready to close, I want to tell you, first of all, get $15 together to buy this book. I'm just going to speak to you frankly. Get your $15 together. You need to borrow it from your auntie and then pay her back when you get paid on Friday. Get your money together for this book. Now, I told you I was going to tell you where you could get the book. Now, you don't have to go to the bookstore. You don't have to run all over town to try and figure out who has the book. All you really need to do is to come to First Baptist Church, Lauderdale, 682 South Lauderdale Street, right across the street from Booker T. Washington High School in that great hamlet of South Memphis. And I happen to know the pastor well, and he will be glad to see you this evening. Well, all right, let me get the jokes out of it. We have our Back to the Basics conference that starts tonight. And the way the conference is set up, around 6:30, we give you a light meal. Now, let me just get straight to the point. We don't give you that heavy meal to give you that itis and make you go to bed. We give you enough food so that you have sustenance so that you can go to class. We did say it was a conference and not a revival. So we have classes that deal with basic building blocks of your Christian witness, and we have designed these 3 days that if you come every day, you'll be able to take 3 different classes. So the classes last for about an hour. Then at the conclusion of the classes, we have the worship service, and you will be able to hear Dr. Thomas preach, meet him, see him in the flesh, and guess what? Get your book. We have the books here with us. And you need, I'm telling you, you need to get this book. And now, to make you understand how this conference has been shaped, what is the cost for a conference? Normally, you might have to pay $20, $50, $100 to go to a conference. But guess what? This conference is free. The only thing we're going to do is at some part during the worship, we'll pass the plate. No, we're not going to have a $100 line, a $50 line. We're going to ask you to give generously as the Lord has blessed you. But come out, be with us. You've seen the ads on this station. Back to the Basics Conference at First Baptist Church, Lauderdale, 682 South Lauderdale Street, in the great hamlet of South Memphis, right across the street from Booker T. Washington High School. We start serving the dinner at 6:30. We start with the classes at 7. We start with the worship experience around 8 o'clock. I'm going to tell you now, y'all, I know how us black chocolate colored folk are. Don't come just for the worship. I want to encourage you to also take the classes. Now, listen to who's teaching the classes. That may help you. We have Dr. Rosalind Nichols. Y'all know her. We have Dr. A. McKinley Royal. You know him. We have Dr. Eric Winston. You know him. So all of these people have legitimate paper. They have the learning and the burning. And you've already heard from Dr. Frank Anthony Thomas. So we want to see your face in the place. All right, Dr. Thomas, again, thank you for being with us. It's time for us to get out of here. So as I always say to you, brother man, sister woman, young boy, young girl, put your mind in gear and put your thinking cap on. Peace. I just had a black thought. Put your mind in gear and put your thinking cap on.